Welcome back to the Morning Dew. This is the Hotspot segment where we get to look at matters arising politically in the country, and we get to look at the truth and the lies that are some of the truths and the lies that are being told to us by our politicians and how implementable their promises are. Now, I am joined by two familiar faces, but just in case it is the first time that you are watching us, let me give them each the opportunity to introduce themselves. I, for one, am very excited because in the previous times that the two of you have appeared on set together, you have gone ahead to have a heated argument that is filled with facts. So today I want us to look at the economy, some of the politics surrounding it, some of the lies, some of the truths, and how implementable some of the promises that are being made to us by our politicians are. But before all that, let's start with you, sir. A brief introduction, please.
Thank you very much, Kevin. It's always a pleasure to be here on DAESAK TV to discuss matters concerning politics and politics. Today we are going to tackle matters to do with the economy stupid. We say that it's all about the economy. The voters, at the end of the day, go in polling stations to vote leaders who can further their successes in economy. Those who can tackle their economy very well. So it is a very important matter, and I hope our viewers will enjoy the talk of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bona Wambogo.
Thank you, Kelvin, and I'm happy to be back, and also to be back with my good friend and my good brother, Tifodho Kihoro, whom I'm trying to convince to start reasoning as a narrative and to stop following the propaganda side and to go to the fact side. But all in all, I want to welcome our viewers to our show today. I wish that we are going to interact very well. We need your feedback, we need your comments, we need your directions, but we hope to have a good show. But on top of that, I want to wish our women who are in judiciary, because we are celebrating them today in the whole world, maybe our judges, our magistrates who are women, we wish to celebrate them, led by the Radio Justice Mother Koome, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya.
Indeed. Now, do remember that you can send us your feedback on any one of our social media platforms. We are at DAESAK TV. You can watch us on DAESAK TV at the Signet. You can also watch us on DAESAKTV.com. And you can send us your feedback also on 23595 or via WhatsApp on the number running on your screen. Gentlemen, let us dive in. In his address during his tour to the US, the Deputy President said that our economy has been captured. What exactly does this mean, and is there any evidence of it actually happening? Bona Kihoro.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I think the Deputy President, not only in his tour to the US, but also when he addresses masses here in our country, he is very categorical that our economy have been captured by what we call the deep state, what we call the economy brokers. They have all captured our economy in this way. I want to tell you, Kevin, that can you first of all relook who are those who control the key sectors of our economy? Who are the tea brokers? Who are the owners of these banks in this country? Who are the owners of large companies like the milk companies, the fuel companies in this country? I think they are well known, and there are few individuals who ensure that they drive economically, or they drive in their businesses by controlling those key sectors. And that's why you see, like in the recent happenings in a company called Keroche Company in Naivasha. I think we all know that the government through the KRA is trying to stop the running of Keroche breweries, not as a punishment because of not paying or evading taxes, but in order to bring a dashit company there to operate, to have a monopoly. How do you imagine a government killing a locally made company to import another company, to give a credit or to give a license to an international company? I mean, it is all about economy brokerage, and that is done by a group of people who thrive by capturing the economy of a country. It is well known. Yeah.
Bwana Wambugu, do you agree?
Let me say that it is very sad that the deputy president is talking about this thing right now. He has been the deputy president for the last 9 years. He has never talked about it. I think maybe he has been benefiting from it. Now he's not. I think that's why he's talking about it. Secondly, I want to say that it is very sad that the deputy president is talking about it when he himself is using the public money to further or to sponsor his private visit in US. I think that is part of what we call state capture. He's capturing our economy. The money he is spending in US and UK is taxpayers' money. I think that money should be used to grow our economy, to do something constructive. So I think that is part of what he is talking about. He's one of those people who have captured our economy. Because if for example, the 100 million he's using for that private visit, I think could be used in another way, because that's 100 million is what is used in one constituency. I think that is what he's talking about too. He's talking about the corruption people. We know we have the corrupt individuals in this country, and we have seen what the government has tried to do through its independent organization institutions, and we know those people have been protecting them. One of them being the deputy president. So I think what deputy president was telling the US and UK is, I am the protector of these people, and I want to tell you I am not qualified to be the president of this country. So I want to say this, the deputy president did it very well by exposing himself, what he has been doing and what he has failed to do. Because if he wanted to help this country, he could have said this before, way long before. He could have protected it from happening. Now he's acting like a pathologist. He has tried to do a post-mortem to already what have died. He could have protected it from happening. So I think the deputy president showed his weaknesses and his inability to protect our economy and to protect taxpayers' money. The other person we can say have captured our economy is those people who have failed to pay taxes. And we know who have been protecting them. Everybody who operates a business should pay tax, including what my good friend is trying to insinuate, that it is killing or stopping the local manufacturing to take place. The Kiroche thing, and I think the owner of the Kiroche last night expressed herself. She said that, no, you see, for sure we have not paid 22 billion, but we are planning to do that. She said that, the KRA, we are going to have a conversation, we are going to have a talk with them. So she agrees that we have failed in our part, but we need to be listened to. And I think that is what the KRA is going to do today. So we can say corruption people, taxpayer, those who are not paying tax, those who are using public resources for private gain, I think they are the ones who have captured our economy.
Bwana Kehoro, before we get to you, there is this article in the Daily Nation that talks about Kiroche breweries. Let me just highlight a few things that are in here. Kiroche Breweries has accused the Kenya Revenue Authority of frustrating its efforts to settle tax arrears by shutting down its operations, even as it disputes the 22 billion shilling figure by the taxman. Kiroche accuses KRA of shutting its operations on several occasions after agreeing on payment plans, thus denying the brewer a chance to produce and sell alcohol. It says it risks losing 500 million worth of alcohol currently in tanks and the jobs of 250 workers. Ms. Karanja further claimed that Kiroche recognizes tax arrears totaling to 822 million shillings, constituting the 322 million shillings owed to the taxman since February 2021, and 500 million shillings agreed on after a series of court cases and out-of-court discussions. This contradicts KRA figures in its Tuesday statement, which put total taxes in dispute at over 22 billion.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for giving me this right of reply. First of all, I want to tell of my good friend Wambugu Murugu that he must be a visitor in this Jerusalem called Kenya. It is within the constitution that the deputy president of this republic has got a mandate to go to in an international trip that is paid by our taxes. We elected him. as the deputy president of this country. So he should not be here feeling pain that the deputy president is going to spend taxpayers' money. It is within his rights as the deputy president of this republic. Again, I want to just to dispute what he has said about the crèche breweries. I think Mr. Bida was very categorical yesterday. And I think you are supporting him by also peddling propaganda saying that the money in question or the areas that Mr. Bida owes to the KRA, you have said it is 822. Sorry, it is 322 million.
Yes, in addition to the 800 and...
it is 322 million, not 800.
Yes, and totaling to 822 million. Sorry, this is what she said. She said that Keroche recognizes tax arrears totaling to 822 million shillings, constituting the 322 million shillings owed to the taxman since February 2021, and 500 million shillings agreed on after a series of court cases and out-of-court discussions. So the 322 million shillings is what Keroche Breweries owes from February this year. And an additional 500 million agreed on after a series of court cases. So she, from this article, she seems to dispute the 22 billion shillings figure that KRA claims.
Absolutely, by saying that the money in question right now, it's 322 million.
No, it is 822 million.
Others over 500 million are in court cases. So the money that is agreeable between Mr. Bida and the KRA right now, it's about 322 million.
No, actually it is 822. The 500 is agreed upon
after
a series of court cases.
After a series of court cases,
yes,
of which she have all appealed to all those court cases. I want to say this and say it categorically, without any fear of contradiction, Kevin, that the government, through power brokers, have captured these economies. There are those individuals in this country who have captured this economy in this way. I want to tell Bwana Wambugu Murugu that you cannot say that the deputy president, by him traveling to an international trip, have captured this economy. It is totally sad for an elite to argue like that. This being the reason. We have seen that in the recent 2 days, the president have been traveling to an international trip. The deputy president, I think he's among the fewest deputy president who have traveled abroad in rare times. So Wambugu Murugu should not insinuate that the deputy president is actually misusing the taxpayers' money, because we all agree that whatever the deputy president talked there abroad, much is of help to us as hustlers. Again, just to state, the economy of this country, Kevin, is not run by the government, as we all agree. There are those who operate the key powers of this economy. I'll state it again. There are those who operate, and we all know them, those who operate the oil companies in this country, the rubies and whatever. We all know those who operate the tea, coffee brokerage in this country. They are well known. They are well known, those people who operate the banking sector of this country, the milk sector of this country. Those are the ones that we call the saboteurs of our economy. In this way, today, Kevin, milk is being bought from the farmer at around 30 Kenya shillings. What is processed milk getting to the consumer? At how much? At around 60 to 65 Kenya shillings. And the owners of those milk processing companies are well known. We all know them. Those are the saboteurs of the Kenyan economy. And if we can tackle the problem of these brokers of our economy, I think we'll have solved everything in this country. Because remember, some of the commodities which do not need brokers or which do not need very huge companies to operate, they go at a very good price. But these companies which have brokers in them, their commodities are very expensive. Today, we all know who is the owner of the Rubies oil company, the Rubies petrol stations, all of them. We all know. But how much does oil cost in this country? We saw the first company which is saying now that is going to increase the cost of fuel in this country. It's the Rubies company. Who is the owner of the Rubies company? We all know him.
No, let's
so we should, my friend here should stop peddling propaganda and come on the table with the facts. The fact is this: the problem is not international trips of either the deputy president, because we all know that he is entitled to those trips. The problem is with those who broker our economy.
Bora Murugu, do you believe that indeed the owners of, or rather the people behind the operations of the companies that produce products such as milk and fuel in our country are those who are the same people who are sabotaging our economy?
You know, Kelvin, these people have problem with local investors. They have called them all sort of names, but when they meet with international investors, they are okay with them. I think these people want our local investors to be poor, so that the international investors can come and invest and give them kickbacks. I think that's what they want. But I want to tell them this.
You should state an example while giving that. Not peddling propaganda. We should not waste
let's just give him a minute
of these viewers to peddle propaganda. Mr. Wambugu Murugu should tell me that these people are promoting international investors in this way, and
will you allow me to finish, or you keep on
I believe he will. I believe he will get to that point.
He should not be allowed to peddle propaganda.
No, let's give him a minute. Let's just give him a minute to finish his statement.
This guy wants us to have confusion here so that we don't have a constructive discussion. I think I allowed him to finish. I think you should allow me to finish. If you have something to say, you'll add after I have finished. I want to say this. You can see he's saying that they have problem with those people who are buying milk. We know the people who buy milk here, we know in this country, are local investors. We know Githunguri is owned by Kenyans, Brookside is owned by Kenyans. So when they have a problem with our local investors, they want, who do they want? They want it to be with international. That's one thing. Two, he has talked about the Rubies. I don't know who are the owners of the Rubies, because I don't have the profile of the Rubies. I don't know the proprietors, because he knows he can tell us. And I don't think Rubies is the only company in this country that is selling fuel, gas and whatever. The other. So if Rubies is expensive, we have the alternative. So he should not just try to tell us because Rubies is expensive and he suspects the people who are the owners of Rubies, they are not favorable to them. He does not like them because of their color or because of their height or because of what. He should go to the alternative. That is not the monopoly. Two, if Deputy President William Ruto spending over 100 million Kenya taxpayers' money is not a problem to him, and we know very well that 100 million is used in a constituency like Madhya for 1 year, and we see the impact. Yet, whatever the Deputy President went to do in US and UK has no direct benefit to our economy, which I would like to know which are these direct benefits. Making a public address, talking about the election being stolen, talking about those people he's talking about who have captured our economy. Is anything help to our economy or to the so-called hustlers? I think he's lost. And if that is how you're going to help hustlers, you are also lost. I think you need to start reasoning like an elite. You need to start reasoning like a person who needs to take this country to the next level. Because you cannot tell me 100 million is a little amount of money. 100 million can be used by over 100 or 1,000 students to be sponsored for 1 or 2 years in scholarship. So I think that is what we are calling about the state capture, or what the William was talking about. Let me say this.
Yeah,
we need to pay taxes.
Before you proceed, let me just give you a bit of a quote from the Daily Nation that answers your question about the importance of these leaders taking the trips abroad. I'll just read out one of them because we do not have the time to go through the whole thing. Professor David Kikaya, that is on page 5. Professor David Kikaya, a former ambassador and professor of international relations at the University of United States International University, said, given that Kenya's historic development partners are the West, it certainly is prudent that presidential aspirants elicit their confidence for continuity.
Absolutely.
So that is the reason, apparently, that is the reason why it is necessary for these presidential aspirants to visit the West and, well, flaunt themselves as people who are capable of leading the country.
Why should it be at the expense of the taxpayers' money?
I think
when he's talking, when they are going to look for finances for their campaigns, I think as long as we are going to discuss this thing, I'm not going to accept that one. I'm going to say that is a wastage of public resources, and there is no way, even him, he cannot convince me. Maybe he sides with them. Maybe he's a beneficiary. Maybe he's a broker. So maybe he benefits from that. But as far as I'm concerned, for me, I see it as a wastage of public resources. We saw no agreement that was signed. We saw no constructive things were discussed. He only attacked our government, the government he's in. He only attacked our institutions. Institutions, some are independent. So how do you tell me that is of any help to our country? Maybe he's only meeting with those people who want to sponsor his campaign, and that is something private and personal. As far as I'm concerned,
well,
I have no apology for that.
Yes, just a minute, let me get some clarification from you. Is the Deputy President in a position to sign any agreement between Kenya and another country in his position currently as the Deputy President?
No, he's not in a position, but he's in a position to negotiate, to market our country, and even to go maybe with the investors to show them talking about marketing and negotiating or showing what our country has and what can offer and what we can collaborate with them. I think that is what I mean. But we have not seen him with any minister, because if he went with a minister, that's something different. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Bona Kehoro.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Wambugu is very happy to come here, discuss, or use his all time to discuss the Deputy President. And I tell him he should read the history. The Deputy President is not the first presidential aspirant to go to the US,
but at the expense, he's the first, and
give his thoughts on how he can construct the economy of this country and on how he can run diplomatic matters to the US. He's not the first. The president, whom he's fond of defending, in fact, have gone more than 100 times before he was the president. He was elected the president of this country.
No, he's not specific. More than 100 times, he's not specific. He did not express.
So,
he used
and yet he was.
Did the president look during the times that he was visiting those countries? Was he using?
We are all aware of this scenario which happened when President Mwai Kibaki gave the state machineries, or gave the state aeroplane to Uhuru Kenyatta before 2013 to go and give speeches in the US. We are all aware of that. He is so forgetful. Maybe he was not there during that time. These guys may be younger, but a young age should not be given a hindrance. Look, let's give him. No.
But the time, you should not be that.
So we should keep quiet.
Let's just give him a minute.
We should just keep. No. So meaning I should just keep quiet and give him a lot of time to discuss a lot of nothing.
Gentlemen, I think
we should give Wambugu Murugu a lot of time to peddle a lot of lies.
I think we
should just leave this interview to Wambugu Murugu.
Gentlemen, let us.
Because if you don't have facts,
because he just want to speak alone.
Leave it. If you don't have facts,
yet he's peddling a lot of propaganda.
How was it?
Well, gentlemen, I think we need a glass of water because
And you need to come back with facts.
No, no, no.
I did not see the conversation becoming as heated as it is. We need to take a short commercial break, but we will be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Hotspot segment of the Morning Dew, which today is shaping up to be an actual hotspot thanks to these two gentlemen. We are discussing the politics behind the economy, trying to look for facts where there are lies, trying to figure out if the promises made by our politicians, our leaders about the economy are indeed implementable or if they are not. After all, one of our aims is to help you make an informed decision come August 9th, 2022. So, gentlemen, I think during the first question, there was a lot of contention between the two of you, and each one of you was asking the other for facts that we may not possess. So let us just quickly move on. The Jubilee government is adamant that the economy has improved during its 2 terms. Well, we see the infrastructure, but we also see the high food prices and items of commodities, or rather commodities such as the raised price of cooking gas. So, is our economy really better now than it was in 2013 before the exit of former President Mwai Kibaki? Bwana Murugu.
Well, let me start by telling our viewers that our aim and intention to come here is not to bring conflict or anything like that, but is to open up their thinking, to see things in a different way. We need to have a different perspective of how we see things. We need even them to question their readers. As they come to us, seek their votes, ask them the real question. That's why we do this discussion, not out of enmity, not out of grudges, but because of our diverse ideology and thinking. That's why we may not agree on just those things, but on the other things, we are good friends. They should also be good friends. Maybe we are even partners in other things. But coming to a question about our economy, I want to say our economy is better than it was during Kibaki time. Why am I saying this? It's because we have seen growth of private institutions or other private companies. We have seen growth also in our infrastructure. We have seen growth in a number of ways. So, answering a question whether our economy is better than it was during Kibaki time, I want to say it is better. Maybe the growth rate during Kibaki and during Uhuru may be different because of even different in dynamics. During Kibaki reign and Uhuru reign, it may be different, the rate of growth, but the growth is there. Coming to your other question about the prices and the hike of prices of basic commodities, I want to say it is there. I won't deny, much as I want to say that there is economic growth. And I want to say this: the reason why we have high cost of prices and high cost of living is because of a number of things and reasons out of government control or even within government control.
And what are these reasons?
Among these reasons are, cost of production. For the past 2 to 3 years, the cost of production have gone up due to a number of reasons, maybe some of them being cost of energy going up. And as a result of that, we have seen the government trying to change this. And you saw the President Uhuru Kenyatta doing the reshuffle in the cabinet, and he changed the CS in charge of energy and petroleum energy. And after that change, we have seen change in the cost of our electricity. Also, the other reason why we have a high cost of living is because of the natural calamities. When COVID came, that is in 2020 March, there was a curfew, there was lockdown. So a number of jobs were lost, something to do with the 330 plus, 330 jobs plus were lost. So the dependence rate went up. So that's another reason why there is a high cost of living. The other reason why we have that cost of living is because high cost of living is because of maybe like something like drought in a number of our counties. The agriculture was affected by COVID. People were not in a position to do planting, harvesting in real time. That's why maybe there is that thing of high cost of living. In my own opinion, those things are some of the reasons why the cost of living is up. But by and large, the economy is good.
Well, once after I've given Bwana Kihoro the right of reply, I would want you to tell us if the high raising of the prices of commodities is equivalent to a growth in economy, or if the two are not necessarily related. Bwana Kihoro.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for giving me this time to discuss your question. First of all, I would like to say that it's always said that whichever is factual, it is expressed in a very precise manner, and the expressor must be on the point, not beating around the bush. Whichever is lies and propaganda is beaten around the bush and taken a lot of time. Be it as it may, Kevin, you have asked whether the government, whether our economy have grown in the times of Jubilee government more than it did in the times of Kibaki's government. In this question, I'm going to give statistics and figures.
Yeah,
and you know, Kevin, that statistics and figures never lie. When Kibaki took the government in 2002, our GDP in this country was about 1.2 trillion Kenya shillings. When he gave the government to Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013, our GDP was 5.08 trillion. You can check the facts. They are there in the internet and everything. That means that our GDP grew by fourfolds. 4 times by fourfolds. When Kibaki, it is estimated that as Uhuru Kenyatta will be leaving the government this year, 2022, that is 2022, our GDP of this country will be about 11 trillion. He was left with a GDP of 5 trillion, and now he's going to leave the next government with a GDP of 11 trillion. That means that our economy have grown 2 folds, not like Kibaki's 4 folds. It has grown 2 folds. That means that the president have done less or just minimal to reach the economy where it is now, without considering the huge debt that he have left us with. I mean, Kibaki left us with about 1.8 trillion Kenyan debt. He has left us with about 13 trillion, both external and internal borrowing.
I think the figure stands at about 8.
Yeah, not 8. If you can look at the figures given by the World Bank of Kenya, 8 is about the external borrowing, the external debt. If the external debt is about 8.4 trillion Kenya shillings, the internal debt that the government have borrowed in internally, that is in banks and whatever, domestically, it has borrowed about 3.8 trillion Kenya shillings. That means that by August, the debt will be resting at around 13 trillion Kenya shillings. That means that although the economy have grown slowly with about 2 folds, he has left us with a lot of huge debt that the next president will probably have a lot of problems to tackle. Again, what we call the successes of the economy of a country is measured with what we call the GDP per capita. The GDP per capita income during the times of Kibaki was around 389 US dollars. When that is during the time of Moi. When Kibaki left power, it was about 1,200 US dollars. Today, when Uhuru Kenyatta will be leaving the government,
it is estimated that the GDP per capita income will be about $1,500. That tells you that the wealth of this country per individual will be have grown with about 200 to 300 US dollars, while Kibaki grew that wealth with about 900 US dollars. That means that Uhuru Kenyatta cannot match have the successes of Moi Kibaki, yet Moi Kibaki never overburdened our current generation and that of the coming future with a lot of debt that will actually harm this country or will harm the economy of this country. Thank you.
Do you think that these figures are not relating because of the inflation factor?
No. Which government have inflated the commodities? It is the Jubilee government through its head, the Uhuru Kenyatta. Wambuku Murugu may like to argue that this is because of the COVID-19, and whatever. But I want to tell you, Kevin, that in 2018, there was no COVID-19. Just look at the cost of fertilizer in 2018 and compare it with that of 2013. Look at the cost of the fuel at 2018. Compare it with the cost of fuel in 2011. I mean, although the natural calamities such as the COVID-19 have brought to some extent the contribution to this, but it is very, very minimal. Some countries like Tanzania, Rwanda are doing it very well. What about this country that is considered wealthier than those little countries? I mean, we have gotten it wrong. And let me tell you something, Kevin. It is all about policy making. I mean, the problem with President Kenyatta, he has gotten it all wrong, matters to do with policies. Let me take you abroad, Kevin, in countries that have done very well, yet we started with them during independent times. A country like Singapore does not have oil in it. Singapore does not have minerals in it. But if you look at the GDP per capita of the Singapore country, yet we started with them in 1963, it is about 59,000 US dollars. I mean, it is like 50 times our GDP per capita income.
Yeah, Singapore is one of the wealthiest nations.
It is one of the wealthiest nations in the world. What did they do? The president then, Lee Kuan Yew, realized that we don't have minerals. We don't have oil. All we have is one, the human capital. That is our richest commodity that we have as a country. What do we have? We can make electronics. We can make machineries. Then we don't have the power to consume them all locally. So what do? Let us grow our exports so that we can actually get a lot of wealth from the exports. Today, Singapore brags as one of the richest countries in the world because of its exports.
And do you think then that Kenya would be in the same position had we focused on what we produce, which is mainly food products and the export of food products?
Kevin, let me tell you, I've done my research very well, and if we can just rectify on matters to do with policies, we can do very well economic-wise. I can give you an example. For instance, I've done my research in this great county of Murang'a. Today, the government brags of creating an enabling environment for farmers to thrive economically. But I'll tell you that is not true. For instance, you'll meet a farmer in Kiharu, Kevin, growing maize in about half an acre. Yet we know very well, if you do research, you are research very well, Kevin, whatever agricultural products that we produce in Kiharu that do very well are actually mangoes, not maize. And if the government can just do a bit of its policies, rectify its policies, work in Kiharu, look, motivate farmers, do where we grow mangoes very well, give them free seedlings, free fertilizers to grow those mangoes, we can actually produce a lot of mangoes here in Kiharu. Go to Mathioa where they produce tea. Go to Kangema where they produce tea and coffee, whatever. We can do actually very well through our agricultural product. Go to Tana River and whatever where they produce saito. We can actually do very well if we concentrate and we do whatever we specialize in commodities that do well in certain regions. And in that way, we have so many exports and commodities also to consume locally. In that way, we'll have gotten it right on matters to do with economy. Because, you know, we have less minerals, we have less whatever, but we have enough of human capital and enough of agricultural land which we can utilize to get our wealth and tackle our economy right. Thank you.
Bona Murugo, do you well, in addition to the question that I had asked you earlier on about the relationship between the rise in prices of commodities and the strength of the economy, do you believe then that, do you agree with what Bona Kihoro is saying about policy making being one of the key factors that is ailing our development as a country?
You see, when you have hatred and bitterness with an individual, you can even blame him even where he has no even a portion of blame. He has blamed the president on policy making, on agriculture. He has talked about Kiharu being the best, actually the best crop that can do well in Kiharu is mango. And I want to disagree with him because maybe the local 20, that's where mango can do well. But if you go to Moraradia, you cannot plant mango there. He needs to do his research. You cannot plant mango in Moraradia. You can only plant tea. You can only do coffee in Moraradia. That's what is good in. That is good there. Talk about the Roa billion. That's part of the Roa Gaturi. That's why you could plant maize and do well because the weather and the temperature is conducive. So he has gone further and to blame the president on that issue when we know even agriculture, part of it is devolved. So I want to tell him, much as you want to blame the president, you can blame him, but people know that is not the fact. Talking about the issue of the relation between the high prices of commodities and the economic growth, I want to say this. As I told you, parameters and reasons why the prices are different as to why economic growth. Our economy has grown on infrastructure. It has grown on health sector. That's part of economy. It has grown on the education sector. Our technology have improved. But if you do your calculations on the prices as compared to gains of made through these sectors, I think our economy is well. Yeah, and you should not bring high prices to the growth of our economy. Our economy have grown because technology have grown. You know, we have seen companies coming up. We have seen industries. We have seen factories producing a number of items. So we cannot deny the fact that there is growth. But also, I know that my friend talked about what Singapore did and what our country is doing. I want to say that you cannot blame our President Uhuru Kenyatta on what the previous presidency and administration failed to do. This is what the President Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to do today. He's trying to rectify the mistakes of Daniel Moi and the mistakes of Kibaki, part of it, and Kenyatta, part of it. And that's why you have seen at this time, during Kibaki time, during the Uhuru time, he has given everybody his opportunity to express his views and contribution to this country. Those in opposition, those in trade unions, Uhuru gave them opportunity because he knows the previous government failed and sabotaged and even killed some of these minds. And maybe that's why our economy failed to grow like Singapore. You know, Singapore allowed everybody to come in on board to bring his contribution or her contribution. President Uhuru Kenyatta has allowed this to happen to this country. Under Kibaki, under Uhuru Kenyatta's government, we have seen a lot of infrastructural projects coming up. Not about roads in railway. We have seen also the things to do with energy, generation of energy. We have seen solar, we have seen geothermal. That is part of taking this country to the next level to get to where the other countries are. Because our country was dormant for almost 24, if not 30 years. And you cannot take this country to the next level automatically. You cannot press the button. That's what the president is doing. He's ensuring everything that is needed is there for this country to grow. And I think we are heading to the right direction. And we need, and I want to tell our Kenyans, because we have the responsibility to have the next government in place, please have the right people in government to take over and to bring about continuity what the Jubilee administration have started. Because I think, and I believe, whatever the Jubilee administration have started, if the next government builds on that foundation, our country will not be where it is today. It will start competing with other nations, Singapore and the rest, because we need continuity. Without continuity, I think we shall continue remaining at the bottom of the national or global map.
Yes, still on you, Bwana Morogo.
Yeah.
How will the development of infrastructure, which has been the focus of the Jubilee-led administration, how will the development of our infrastructure contribute to our growth of economy to the level at which we get to compete with countries such as Singapore?
Oh, good question. Infrastructure, majority of people think infrastructure is about road, railway. It's also about our factories. You have seen a factory in Kenya, Chaka. That is for textile. It is coming up. So what am I saying? With good infrastructure, talk about road and railway, we shall be able to transport raw materials at a low cost. We shall encourage local and even international investors to come and invest along those infrastructural projects. Talk about, like this railway, we talk about the railway from Nairobi to Nanyuki. If we shall encourage investors to invest in Thika, there is an industrial park in Thika.
Yes.
We encourage other investors to invest along Marago area. There is another industrial park in Marago. We encourage investors to invest in Nyanyuki. There is another industrial park. We are going to grow our economy. And
Tatu in Kiambu.
Yes. Yeah, we have that Tatu. We also see there is another road coming from Ramu, going to Isiolo, going to Meru, and coming to Nyanyuki. And again, connecting to Muranga, Thika, Nanyuki. So we are opening up our country. And without those infrastructures, we cannot open up our country. We have talked about the geothermal, the power generation. The power generation will ensure that if investors set up factories and whatever that need power, there will be no shortage. There will be continuity. So whatever this government is doing is good. Also, as we talk about infrastructure, we cannot forget about our institutions of higher learning. Talk about universities. We have universities almost in every county apart from Nyandarua. We have technical institutions almost in every constituency. Even in other constituencies we have to. So we are equipping our young people with skills that we need in this country. That is what we call human capital. We are equipping our human capital. Such that if we need people in Jokari, we shall fight them. If we need technical, we shall fight them. If you need people to offer services, you shall fight them. So what am I saying? Whatever this government is doing is what is good for the growth of this country. Let me go to the other part of it, health sector. When our health is well taken care of, people will be able to grow this economy. We say health is wealth. When we have a healthy nation, people will be able to, to think, to innovate, to grow our economy. Because if I fall sick, I'll be able to find medication. And as soon as I get medication, I'll be able to go back to be nation, to build my country. So I want to say this, the infrastructure has touched all corners. And as a result of that, I think this country will grow if the next government and the next administration will build on that foundation. And I want to say this, because we have seen what the current competitors, those people who want to succeed President Ukraine are doing. We need to question what they are doing. And as we make our decision come 9th of August, we need to make an informed decision. We should not make decision out of the noise we hear, out of propaganda. We need to reason. If someone says road, we don't hit roads, that means that person does not support anything that is invested along that road. And that means that person is not likely to continue developing roads and railways. So we need to be very careful as Kenyans, and that's why I have decided to go that unpopular way, because it's unpopular. Because you know the rest is very popular. You know the rest, the other side of attacking and saying this has not been done, this has not been done. It's very popular, and you are likely to pick something and to be popular. But I have decided to go that way because I believe that is the right way that we should go.
Now, Bona Kehoro, when we come back from the short break that we are taking right now, I will want to hear your opinion on whether you agree with Bona Murugu, whether the Jubilee-led administration has indeed led Kenya, put Kenya on the right trajectory in terms of economic growth. That will be happening after this short break. Welcome back to the Hotspot segment happening on the morning dew, right here on DAESAK TV. In case you're just joining us, my name is Kelvin Mungai. We are having a discussion on the state of the economy in the country. To my left is Bwana Wambugu Murugu, and to my right is Bwana Kefudhu Kehoro. Now, before we went on break, Bwana Kehoro, I was to give you the right of reply before we proceed.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I would not like to dwell much in whatever propaganda my friend is fond of peddling. I would like to give the actual facts and figures, and as I've always done. And the economy, the Shiaks of 1992 says that the problem bedeviling any country, any third world country, it's the economy stupid. We have gotten the matters to do with economy wrong. And this is because of policy making. I want to just educate my friend a little bit on what makes a country to grow economically. Kevin, for an economy to grow, for an economy of a country to grow, first of all, there have to be some things that are put in place. One, technology. Two, the power of consuming and the power of production. Have we gotten it right as a country? My answer is no. Look, matters to do with technology. If, for instance, I want to give an example of how an economy can be grown using technology, or technology can aid the growth of an economy. For instance, if I'm to produce, for instance, if I'm producing, let's say, porridge, or let's say a bread, maybe I have a, let's call it a Kehoro Kelvin company, bread making company in Kiharu. For me to need more capital, for me to go borrow more money from the banks, for me to borrow more from maybe external donors. First of all, I need to be requiring what we call more human capital, to employ more, to employ more machines of bread making, to employ more processing machines, that is, so that I can consume the capital that I borrow. But if I don't have the technology to consume that capital, that means I can't borrow, I can't employ more individuals, because what are those individuals coming to do in my company? If I can't produce more, I don't need more human capital, and I don't need to consume more capital as a company. So, meaning we have gotten all it wrong, anything to do with technology. We have gotten it wrong. Two, my friend just said that that there are so many companies that have risen during the times of Kenyatta. I want to dispute, and I've disputed that fact, because it's a propaganda, it's a lie, and every viewer can attest to that. There is no company of a substantial growth, or maybe a company of a big named company that have emerged during the times of Uhuru Kenyatta. During the time of Kibaki, we can name several. We can name the Equity Bank, which emerged from our county in Muranga. We can name the motorcycle industry in totality. We can name so many media houses of sounding names and whatever that came to emerge during the times of Kibaki. What company can we name during the time of Uhuru Kenyatta? Reason being, we have gotten it wrong, all it wrong, any matters to do with policies. Because if we had good policies as a government, we could have gotten it right to do with industries, to do with companies, to do with policies. For instance, today, Kevin, an individual, maybe a youth somewhere in Kiharo or maybe in Nairobi, needs to pay something in order to download a movie from a Netflix. I think you have undergone through such difficulties and problems. You need to have a lot of money to download a movie from Netflix. Yet, in some companies like Dubai, internet is free, provided by the government. So, as a young person, as a young individual, as a young youth of this country, you can actually go to Netflix, download movies for free, and pay taxes to buy to sell those movies to your own government. In that way, you earn revenue, you earn money, or you earn what you call salary from the selling, and you pay taxes to your own government. But today, our young men and women are struggling to download movies from Netflix, yet the government can provide free internet and enable them to grow.
And do you think that is because the said downloading of such movies is illegal? I mean, it's because it's known as piracy, right?
That's because of policy making. I mean, in other countries such as Dubai, you are regulated by your own government. Your government cooperates with the Google so that to allow you what to download and what not to download. It has been done to pornographic sites. What about those sites? It can be done as long as the policies are made well as required by your government. Yeah.
Boramorogo.
Well, you know, my good friend here never listened what I said. He only prepared himself to answer and to counter. He has never talked of what I said. He has only tried to gamble. He has talked about technology, financing, human capital, and to go to something like downloading. Is that basic? Is that what Kenyans need most? I think my brother here need to accept he has failed to understand what our economy needs. He has talked about this animal code policy. What is policy? He has not talked even a single thing about policy. He has only talked about policy. I want to tell you this. Our government have done a lot to do with matter policy. Before the Jubilee administration came to power, I'm talking about administration because I believe it is not about president himself. He has the cabinet, the parliament, and that's all. That's what makes up the government. Before the administration came to power, to register a company was a problem. If you wanted to register a company back in 2013, it was a problem. Today, you only need like 1, 2, 3 days to register a company. You only need, actually, you need 2 days to register a company.
And has the fact that the Jubilee-led administration has made the access of most of these services be done online and therefore available to, well, just about everyone who has the knowledge on how to operate a smartphone or a computer. Do you think that has contributed to the growth that you're saying that we have seen?
You know, I want to show our viewers how this guy has been misleading them on policy. The Jubilee administration said this. You look guys, the issue of policy on how to register a company was taking quite some time, like 14 days. But today, it was reduced to hours. That's one thing. The administration talked about, you know, before the Jubilee, for youth to access government tenders and whatever, it was a problem. The administration through the parliament, through the Nairobi senator when he was the nominated MP, he came up with the issue of 30% for youths and people living with disability. That is helping our youth. That's about policy. So what am I telling our people? Take advantage of what is there. Leave alone those people who see negatives when there is opportunities. I want to tell our people, take what is there for you. Leave alone those people who want to see only negative things, who do not want to take advantage of what is there. Our technology is improving. Before and now, it is something different. We have seen people coming up with new things. We have seen like that guy, there is a guy that is Mudongo in Nyanyuki. He's producing his cables. There is another factory in Dedan Kimathi that is producing chips for our phones and whatever. So what am I saying? There is a lot of opportunities that have been presented by this administration, and we need to take them up. We need to take advantage of that. Young people, go and register a company and start tendering, start bidding. If you do that, you'll benefit. Leave alone those people who see just negative like Kihoro. They know nothing other than what have been presented to them to feed them. Our young people, take advantage of the environment that is encouraging you to innovate. Innovate. You know, we saw those guys who innovated a ventilator in KU. They were supported by the government. You know, we saw those people who started with the issue of sanitizers. They were helped by the government. You know, this guy has talked about technology and internet. Today, in our country, I want you to just take your phone and just go online. You will see so many young people doing their things in internet. So many YouTube content creators. They have been enabled due to the environment that this government have created. What am I saying? Take advantage of what is there. Leave alone those people who just see negative.
Bwana Kihoro, with your reply, kindly include your final submissions.
Before I wind up, Kevin, first of all, I would like to tell you off again for giving this guy a lot of airtime to peddle propaganda, because he has expressed himself in quite a large way, saying a lot of nothing. I want to dispute that by talking about the real issue. The real issue, Kevin, it's about the economy. The real issue, and I'll dwell on to that, it's about policy making. I think my friend may have skipped business classes, or maybe not privileged to have done to have done maybe economics in the university. Maybe I would like to educate him on what policy is. He has talked about policy. I mean, he's talking a lot of nothing.
No, I talked about
business in this way.
Just a minute, Bona.
Let me wind up, Kevin.
Yes,
First
please.
of all, I would like to say that the problems of youth in this country is not the time required to register a company, Kelvin. We don't need, we can, even if you had 1 month to register a company, that's not a problem. The problem is, do you have the required capital to register that company? Although you don't require much, do you have the required capital to run the company that you are registering? Today we can register over 500 companies. What for? Useless of them. Because you don't have money to run those companies. My friend should not just think that registering a company is just, registering and running a company is just like taking a cup of water. It is not. You require money. You require an enabling environment given by your own government. Today, Kevin, just go as a youth or as an individual in this country. I want to challenge you, Kevin. Go and ask for a loan from Equity Bank, and you'll see what requirements you are needed as a Kenyan to get a loan from those banks. I mean, you cannot. The reason being, the government have done what we call internal borrowing. No, relax,
your final submissions, please.
Yes,
we have run out of time.
Thank you. As I'm winding up.
Yes, please.
The government have made it so difficult for you as an individual to borrow internally. During the times of Kibaki, the government were coming door to your doorstep, telling you, requesting you to come and borrow loans. But today, it's not happening because the government have finished
there are local investors by borrowing internally. All this because of policy making. If the government had sat together with the cabinet, the president together with cabinet, and stated categorically that we are not going to borrow internally, we are going to do external borrowing so that we enable our investors, our local investors, to borrow internally, you could have gotten it right as a country. But today, you have gotten it wrong. As I'm winding up, Kevin, I would like to urge our viewers that as you go into the 9th of August election, choose an individual who understands the situation you live in. Who is that individual who have ever gone through the tarmacking way to get a job? Who is that individual who understands the education system of this country? Who is that individual who understands the problem of mama mbogas, the border guys? We can only be helped by that individuals who shares with us what we are experiencing at his heart. And there is no any other individual apart from the one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bona Kihoro. Bona Wambugu,
Thank you very much.
kindly in your reply include also your final submissions.
You know,
And please make it brief.
I will try to be. You know, my friend, I've talked, you know, I told you to be specific about policy. I gave examples of policies about business registration, loans, and whatever. Now this guy has told us not to register companies. This is what I want to tell my fellow youths. Don't be discouraged to register a company. This guy has never registered a company because he depends on handouts he gets from his boss. I want to encourage you, fellow young people, register companies. Go to internet, go to eCitizen, register for a company or a business name. You only need $950 to register a business name. And after that, you need what we call AGPO. Go and take AGPO and you start sourcing for projects or other traders or what have you. You can even access loans in our financial institutions. River those people who don't want to seek the loans. And I want to say this as I conclude, Kelvin.
Yes, please.
We have been told about Mama Boga. You know Mama Boga is because Mama Boga is seen in that market. But you're not being told that for Mama Boga to be in that market in Karatina or in Thika, that market had to be constructed. That's what the current government did and the previous did. We want to know, not because you want to tell us and you want us to sympathize with you because you take tea from Kibanda and you take it all from us. You want to tell us that you care a lot about Mama Boga and you spend most of your time in our marketplaces doing your campaigns, slowing down the economic growth so that you can have a chance to tell us that you know I helped you. No, our economy and our Mama Boga borders economy have been slowed down by that guy who at all times you want to meet them during the busy day, during productive hours. He want to come and start lecturing them for 3 hours. He give this guy hours and minutes to talk about and promise them future. But as he promised them future, he's slowing down the economic growth. You know, he starts in a marketplace. He creates traffic. So those people who are to buy from that Mama Boga, they divert. What does it mean? He had slowed down the economic growth of that Mama Boga. So that tomorrow he can come and tell you, you know, your tomato went bad, you know, your resources were not bought, you know, I'll bring investors, I'll do this and that.
Your final submission, please.
Kenyans, please look for people with something quality. Let's not listen to those propagandas. We have listened it here, we have seen it here. You know, someone telling us something to policy, but is not specific, telling us about bottom-up, is not specific. We want to know. If you want to talk about bottom-up, tell us about agriculture. Tell us about factories. Tell us about our health. Tell us about our education. We need someone who is very specific. And as Kenyans, we don't need to have someone as your MP, as your senator, as your governor, because he comes from a certain party. I want to tell you guys, vote for an individual with capacity. You will not go to that party headquarters to request for your funds, for your CDF, or for your bursary. you will go to that specific MP. I want to tell you, viewers, you voted someone because he was in Jubilee. Have you ever been to Pagani? Have you ever been to that Orange House? Have you ever been to Wiper House? This is what I want to tell you. Vote for individuals with quality. Vote individuals with development ideas.
Thank
Don't
you.
vote for populists. Don't vote for propagandists. And on top of that, don't vote for rooters and corrupt and people who don't support paying taxes and fighting corruption. And that is none other than the guy, the only one who knows how to sell policies.
Well, thank you, gentlemen,
Thank
for
you.
showing up.
The guy who knows to sell policies.
Now,
But
so
implementing
we
is a problem.
have
Selling and implementing are two different things.
we have to end this conversation, but let us agree that the two of you will be back here next week on Thursday to continue with the conversation, because we have only scratched the surface of this talk.
Well,
Do we agree on that?
Thank you, thank
we
you.
can have a day next week.
Uh.
We may not be specific whether Thursday or, but we shall communicate.
All right.
But
Thank
next
you.
week we will be here.
Thank you very much. So these two gentlemen will be back here, and we will continue with this conversation, or take it up from a completely different angle. Be sure to stick to DAESAK TV to find that out. We have run out of time, and we have come to the end of the Morning Dew, the Hotspot segment. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Kelvin Mungai. Have a good day.